notice sloth in the background?
Yeah. Well, I have a little obsession with the Goonies.
You and I have had many talks of the Goonies in the past.
Yes.
We've discussed the reunion special that is going to be happening. What is that, the 40th anniversary, I believe?
It's the 40th anniversary this June. Yes, they're having the Goonies weekend for the first time in 5 years since the pandemic. I'm hoping and praying I can get out there. It is one expensive trip because you got to fly out, you got to rent a car, get a hotel, and then they're charging some events or like your admission fee. I mean, so the whole trip you're looking at like $3,000. A single guy like me living by myself, that's a bit much.
I think I'll wait for them to come to Fan Expo or Comic-Con near you.
Well, the difference with that compared to what they're doing in June is it's in Astoria,
Right.
which is the birthplace of the Goonies. Everyone knows Astoria for the Goonies. Myself, being the movie junkie I am, yes, the Goonies is my all-time favorite. But that town is littered in film history. Like you're a film guy yourself. Like
Yeah, absolutely.
people who don't remember Kindergarten Cop with Arnold Schwarzenegger, that elementary school is 2 blocks from the Goonies house.
Jesus.
Short Circuit, Johnny Five, how I got one of my nicknames. A story is just littered in film history. Like I said, you have the Goonies house. The elementary school from Kindergarten Cop is 2 blocks from the Goonies house. Short Circuit, Johnny Five, Stephanie's house is in Astoria. Um, the ending scene of Free Willy was filmed in Astoria. No, I mean, yes, I'm a buff. I love the Goonies. Everyone sees Sloth behind me, but like that town alone is so littered in film history that I would spend a whole day just going around to the different movie spots.
I think when you're in a town like that, there is a limited, not limited, unlimited possibility of what you can see, what you can learn, and what you can do.
Absolutely.
You have so much history there. You have so much, and Astoria is such a beautiful town.
Oh yeah, you're just
It,
seeing pictures like oh
You have waterfront, you have cliffs, you have beaches, you have old taverns where they shot the Goonies
yep.
with the Fratellis. You have caves to explore. I believe that they're there, right? The caves that they
The
explored.
caves are actually in California.
You still have so much to explore there.
Yeah.
You know, you still have so much to see and so much to do, which kind of actually brings me to my next question for you. When you're doing your show, when you're doing your show and you're taking all this into detail, right? You look at a town like Astoria and you have so many people who's interacting with you, so many people who's into the same thing that's there. They're in it for the film, right?
Mhm.
When you're live, how do you keep your audience interacting with you? What is your hook for them?
No, I mean, it really honestly depends on your show. If you're doing something like the dragon thing, like when we talk about life and stuff, like you ask questions to see what people have to say about themselves. You let that viewer describe instances in their own mind. Or if you're doing an entertainment night and we're playing games, like it's just finding stuff that interests people that they want to do it. Like we've been doing Deal or No Deal on my entertainment night.
Right.
So pick briefcases and stuff like that. So you want when you do it live, you just gotta think in mind, okay, people are watching you, so now you gotta branch out and do something that is gonna be interactive. Like, yeah, not everyone wants to sit and watch you do diamond painting, but they if you're doing a cooking segment, they might like, hey, what's in your recipe? Like, how long's prep time? Like, you want to do stuff that are gonna get people engaging because
Right.
anyone can sit and listen to a show. But to actually be part of the show, interact with the show, you have to branch out your topic so more people are interested in it. So like we always ask our audience, like what would you want us to do tonight? What kind of activity should we do? So like you may have to alter your quiz. But to get your audience involved, you have to cater to what they want to do over what you originally wanted to do.
Right. You can't you can't expect your vision to always work.
No.
Like, I can't hop on here and just talk about Back to the Future with you and expect you to be interested in. I mean, I know we're both interested in Back to the Future,
Yeah.
but I can't expect somebody who's, let's say, into accounting to want to talk about Back to the Future, or
I
for
get what you're saying.
somebody who is into life advice, to want to talk about depression. You know, I can't. Well, you can, but you can't expect them to always connect with what your vision is. You sometimes want to reshape your vision for the need of your growth.
Yes.
So,
And that's why we also like we've interchanged so many shows too. Like we used to have a sports show. Or then people would say, I'm not really into sports, so we would drop it. Then we had a movie night show. I'm not really into cinema. We dropped that. We You want to gear it towards what people will come in and watch and actually be involved in as well.
right. Um, you definitely you want to learn your audiences. You want to learn what connects them and what, like you were saying earlier, right? You had somebody who put your show on a big screen TV instead of watching on their phone. What made them do that? What made them want to put you on their big screen TV?
Right?
So it's very. I was saying this to somebody else recently. You learn from people, and the best way for you to grow, not just as a person, but a business, as a friend, as a son, whatever you are working out to be, your best way to grow is by learning through people.
Yep.
You can't do life on your own. You have to learn from others.
Yeah.
So,
You learn to crawl before you walk and you walk before you run.
yes, 100% agree with that. Um, you have to have an open mind. Somebody said it to me earlier this week. You have to have an open mind, and you have to be a good listener. That's what somebody else told me earlier this week. You have to listen to what the people around you are telling you, because that's how you learn.
Yep.
Which actually brings me to my next question for you.
Okay.
If somebody came up to you and they asked you, how do I do this? What advice would you give them for starting up a Facebook Live or an Instagram Live or anything? What advice would you give them to start?
Well, you want to make sure you have your proper equipment. You want to have a decent plug-in camera, a decent microphone, and all that. But have positive energy. Like you can't just automatically think, "Hey, I'm going to go live for the first time. I'm going to have 1,000 people watching this, and I'm going to be a household name overnight." Because it doesn't happen that way.
No, no.
You have to have low expectations. Be happy with those who come in and watch your show.
Mm.
So maybe you only get one, two viewers that first time out. But you know, that one, two viewers is gonna go, hey, this is pretty cool. You should check this out. Message your friend, and now their friend's checking it out. So your
Yeah.
audience grows over time. So you have to have that mindset, like, okay, I'm not gonna grow overnight.
Right.
Like I know a streamer I used to watch, he stopped streaming, unfortunately. Coach Clay TV. He started streaming after he was done work. He was sitting in an office cubicle streaming video games. That's how he got his start. He
Wow.
started like 5, 10 people, and now the last time he would stream, he would have about 5,000 people watching him. He
Just
has like
in his office cubicle?
he doesn't do it that way anymore. That's how he
Wow.
started though.
Wow.
You have to start with humble beginnings.
Of course.
Like I started mine on a Chromebook.
Yes.
Like you know Google Chromebooks, how small they don't have much storage and all that. That's where I started. I had a little pop-up desk mic and I used the camera and the computer for my webcam. So like you gotta just have that mindset, hey, I gotta start small, take my baby steps, and then it'll grow over time.
And I remember you posted something recently, or we discussed it recently, that you would come home from work and just be dead tired from the day, but you would still go on,
Yes.
because people that we work with watch your show and they would rely on you to go online
Yep.
for your entertainment. And I think you have to realize that success comes from passion,
Hmm.
right? You have to understand success comes from passion. I was very fortunate to meet one of my favorite directors of all time. Have you ever heard of Wong Fu Productions? Have you ever seen any of their work?
One crew production. I don't think I have.
So they are a Asian-based company that produces like a lot of rom-com shorts on YouTube.
Okay.
And they actually did a Philadelphia film, like kind of like a small film thing where you could go and you could watch one of their shorts. And I always wanted to meet the director, and I didn't think he was there. I remember I went with Nick Radagast, right?
Yeah.
So I went with him, and I remember getting up, going out, and walking around, and going to the bathroom, coming back, and I didn't think he was there, right? And there he is. He's right outside the door. And I walk up to him and I say, I think if I remember correctly, it's been a long time since I've watched, but I remember his name, Elliot Wong,
Hmm.
right? If I botched the name, I apologize. It's been a long time since I've watched his stuff. But I remember asking him this. I said, what would you say to somebody who's just getting into it, who's just getting into the industry? Um, because that's when I was just starting to do film.
Yeah.
And he looked at me and he said, "Don't expect success or fame overnight."
Yep.
He
He's spot
said,
on.
he said, "Do what you love and do it because you care about it, and it will grow."
Yeah.
And that stuck with me.
And that's the spot on advice. And that's kind of what I was just saying. I mean, you can't expect to go in guns a blazing and hundreds and thousands of people going to watch you right away. They're not because you're a nobody. They've already seen this. What you do has your take on it, has a different spin off than what somebody else is doing.
Absolutely.
And that's what
And
makes something like what I do unique. Because of like how we don't do the same thing. You get to five different shows, you get to five different nights. Like we're bouncing off each other. Sure, we're promoting each other's shows, but
yes,
you're in your own show. You worry about what you're doing, not what that co-host or yours is doing two nights down the road.
of course. And I can't sit here and say, well, it's working for him, so I'm gonna do it. It might not work for me, and that's okay. That's okay if it doesn't. Everybody has um their own unique drive.
Yes.
Everybody has their own spark, everybody has their own flame. Um, and you have to let that spark and flame grow on its own.
Uh huh.
You can't, yes, like you were saying, take inspiration, take ideas off of each other. But you can't expect something that somebody else is doing to work for you because it's not your thing.
Yep.
So, um, I definitely feel in my heart that if you work day in and day out, if you do the grind, like you were saying earlier, day in and day out, success will come for you.
Yeah.
It
You
will.
and instead of putting out that same project every single time, change it up.
Yes.
Like I sent you last night, there was an intro I made. You know how many times I change out my intros monthly? You do 20 shows a month, but 20 different, sometimes 20 different intros and outros. Because that brain is feeling me like, okay, people may like this, but how can I spin it? How can I make it unexpected for them?
Right. Right. Yeah, you have to change. You have to evolve. You have to go through it because if you don't go through it, you're not gonna grow.
Yeah.
You're not. Which actually, Johnny, leads me to my last question for you.
Okay.
Um, Where do you see your series going in the future? Like how do you want your series to evolve? How do you want what do you see for the basement show?
I mean, sky's the limit. Like, like I said, like you take your time and you do as much as we do. You want to see that growth. You want to see it take off. I
Yeah.
mean, we're at 721 followers on Facebook, which is absolutely amazing for what we do. If I could hit that extra line of 1,000 and now be able to, if people want to subscribe to the page, stuff like that, that's rewarding. But like my friend knows people up in New York City. Thought, hey, if we can get some good shows in the string, maybe I'll send an audition tape to Sirius Satellite Radio. We'll be able to go live on up. But then I feel like you can't interact with that live audience or just sit there listening. And like, so like, I don't really have an expectation for it because you're still in that time period of the unknown. Like all of a sudden that show could just go boom, 600 views one week, and then the next week it drops off to like 100. So you have to find that happy medium where you're getting that consistency week in, week out. So right now, that's where we're still at. We're trying to get that consistency going to know what our number is going to look like before you can think of that next step. So, like, I honestly just want to continue to entertain people. I want to bring new people in, let people know, hey, there's a show for everybody. That's our slogan. There's a show for everyone because there is. So like we just want to continue growing our audience, make it a household name. So if I do walk down the street, hey, that's Mr. Ness from the Basement Show, like I was telling you earlier, or hey, that's Rev Grimm. They know you know him because he has 13 years prior experience on a different show. I want to get to that status where like people know me from the show. So
Right.
it's not really being self-centered, but it's just knowing that people all around are taking the time to watch.
I don't think it's self-centered as much as appreciation. You appreciate the acknowledgement, and it's like you were saying earlier, consistency, right? Consistency makes growth.
Yeah.
If you're consistent, if you're following what you do, because you believe in it, not just because you want to do it, but because you also believe in it, I think that makes a world of difference in
Oh,
what
it does.
you do.
And that's like what Jimmy Duke's gaming says. It's my good friend Jimmy from Texas. I watch his stuff. He pops in our shows. So he'll message me on the side like, dude, how do you do it? You say you're gonna go live at 8. You're live at 8. Like you say, oh, we'll be live Friday night. You're live Friday night. Like that's what drives people to your show is because you're consistent. I don't know how you stay on that grind because you figure on a monthly basis, we're between 22 to 27 shows a month.
That's incredible.
So, in the three almost 3 year span, we've only canceled 4. So,
That,
like that turnover rate is amazing, and like people look at like you are constantly doing this. Like I'm gonna use a bad analogy for you, and you're probably gonna really laugh. I don't know how your audience is gonna take it. I feel like the Vince McMahon because I may not be on camera every single night, but yet you best believe if there's a show, 9 out of 10 times I'm sitting right where I'm at right now, monitoring screens, fixing intros, outros during the show, but I'm out so monitoring what's going on. So if I have to jump in and blink's notice, hey, boss is here, I can bring myself in the studio, blink or not.
so no matter what, you're always still working.
Yes. And that's what you need to do. You can't when you're first starting out, yeah, it's gonna get tiresome. You're gonna wear yourself out, sure. But then
Yeah.
that's when you take that little break so you don't burn yourself out.
Let,
But
let me tell you something, right? I was saying this to a couple people before. Um, I used to hate schoolwork, right? Like with a burning passion. I hated sitting at the table. I hated working on math. I hated working on science. I didn't like it. It didn't stick with me. I didn't want to do something that somebody just made me memorize,
mm-hmm,
because that's not what I don't care to recite something that was put on a board for me to learn for a test and then forget about it a week later because I'm learning something new.
yeah,
You know, I wanted to do this because I enjoy stories, right? I enjoy learning from people, as we were talking about earlier, in what makes people tick, what makes people grow, what is their story.
Yeah.
And when you tell me your story, right, you best believe that when I have free time, I'm going to be spending a lot of time editing this to make this look good.
Yeah. I'll tell you a funny story about me real quick if you want to know.
Absolutely.
I was diagnosed with dyslexia as a kid.
Okay.
So I don't know if you know what dyslexia is.
Yes.
It's a
Yes.
disability that I can't absorb information from reading a book. Your brain
Okay.
doesn't comprehend it.
Okay.
So I would read something, and then, like you said, I would forget it like that. Now, if I'm watching somebody do it, watching it as a visual clue, it sponges more. So that's another thing I'm proud of to figure stuff out on my own, like how to hook up a USB mic, how to present a camera, how to build an intro, and all that is all self taught. And
Yeah,
that's alone a self accomplishment to me. Knowing the fact that, hey, I did this on my own is amazing.
it is.
So don't let disability set you back
Oh,
because everyone's built different. Everyone has that different mindset. But at the end of the day, we're all the same.
yes, we are. Um, I have so many disabilities myself, and I've heard one of my dream jobs growing up as a kid was I want to be a police officer, right?
Hmm.
Well, I can't because it's a liability for my disabilities. Um, I wanted to be an astronaut. Well, I can't because it's a liability for my disabilities. This is the one thing where nobody can tell you you can't do it.
Absolutely.
You can't you can't sit there and say you can't gather stories. You can't learn from people. This is the one thing where it feels natural to people like you and to people like me. We love stories. We love learning.
I
And
mean, I would say it came naturally because, like I told you, if you would have told me 3 years ago, hey, you're going to sit in front of a camera and be on a microphone, I would have laughed. But now, like doing the show as long as I have, I feel like I've developed that personality. Like it's second nature. It doesn't bother me anymore. I forget the
Right.
cameras even there half the damn time. Now, like one of the prima donnas, like, oh look, I'm on camera. Oh look,
Let me rephrase that. The passion for it feels natural.
yes,
It feels like it's always been there, and it's once you start, you can't stop. You want to keep learning and you want to keep growing.
yeah, absolutely.
So, well, Johnny, I appreciate you coming on here today, and I appreciate you doing this Q&A with us. It was very insightful and very meaningful to have you here.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you can find us on Facebook if you want to catch us live. We're just doing Facebook right now, but we have all our shows on Facebook and YouTube. We encourage people. Hey, you may not be able to catch that live show because we're on later at night for some people. Go back and rewatch it.
Absolutely.
You can still comment on a rewatch, and we will see that when we're looking over our numbers. You can still drop that like. So, like
Absolutely.
a shout out to my team. I got we call him Rev Grimm, but his name's Alan Moles. His wife Shannon. We have my best friend Kristen, who I've known since I was ions old. Um, Alan's daughter Stephanie helps us out with the show. We just brought in their best friend Gwen. She's going to help us out with the show. So we'll continuously bringing new faces in, so it's not always the same faces as well.
And that's how you do it.
So I mean, I just want to thank everyone who does help me with it, who supports it, and hopefully by watching this, we get some new people because everyone is welcome.
Absolutely. I would actually like to have you back on when you reach another milestone of yours. We'll reconvene and see how you're doing at some point in the future.
Yeah, my goal, like I said, is 1,000. So if I hit 1,000, I will. You would be the first one to get an interview.
We will be back on. We'll be back on here. Well, listen, I think we're gonna end the show here.
Okay.
And again, I would like to say thank you for your time, and thank you for the stories. I
Yeah.
appreciate it. Well, Johnny, thank you, and thank you guys for watching and for learning with us and growing with us. So,
Check
be
it
sure
out.
to check out the Basement Show with Mr. Nast and his crew of people, and be sure to check out his progress in the future. All right, John. We'll see you soon.
All right, buddy. Have a good day.
You too.